Hi guys, and welcome to Storytime Friends. I'm Georgia, and today I'm going to be reading Sleeping Beauty. Let's get on with our story. Once the king and queen gave an enormous party to celebrate the birth of their daughter. So this is the king with his daughter. After the feast, the king told everyone how happy he was to be a father, for he and his wife had been waiting for years to have a child. Next, he made everyone laugh with his story about learning to change nappies. Then it was time for the guests to give the baby princess their presents. The last to come forward with their gifts were 12 fairies. "My gifts to the princess is happiness," the first fairy announced. The guests clapped, and the king beamed all over the face. "Mine is beauty," said the second. "Mine is wisdom," said the third. And so they went. These are all the fairies giving their presents to Sleeping Beauty. The 12th fairy was about to give her gift when a clap of thunder shook the palace. The door burst open and the guests cowered as an old woman shuffled in. "The 13th fairy!" People gasped in horror. The fairy's terrible voice hissed from the doorway. "Where's my invitation, king?" And this is the 13th fairy, and this is the 12th fairy. "Someone must have forgotten to deliver it," the king mumbled. "Servants, set another place, quick!" Actually, he hadn't invited her because he only had 12 golden plates for the fairies to eat from. So he decided to leave one out. The fairy stood over the little princess's cradle. The baby gurgled and reached up for her hand. Suddenly, the fairy cackled. "My gift is that on the princess's 15th birthday, she will prick her finger on a spindle and die." With another clap of thunder, the wicked fairy blew away. The palace doors banged shut. There was terrible silence. Then the queen began to cry. The 12th fairy stepped forward. "I have not given my present yet," she said softly. "I can't undo the evil spell, but I can change it. My gift will be that instead of dying, the princess will sleep for 100 years." Years passed, and all went well. The baby grew into a healthy young girl, pretty and happy and clever. The king and queen no longer thought about the evil spell. All the spindles in the land had long been destroyed. Truly, the princess was safe. So this is the princess, now all grown up, with her dog and the cat here. But on the very day of her 15th birthday, the princess found a door she'd never noticed before. Behind it, a staircase climbed into a tower. Up the princess went until she reached a door with the golden key. The princess entered a tiny room. An old lady sat at a wheel. "What are you doing?" the princess asked. The old lady smiled. "I'm spinning." "Don't stand there, child. Try it yourself." She pushed the needle towards the princess. At that moment, a terrible thing happened. The sharp spindle pricked the princess's finger, and she sank to the floor. Down in the busy courtyard, the hen stopped cackling. The princess's dog stopped chasing the cook's cat. So here's the princess, and that looks like the 13th fairy. And that's a spinning wheel. Of course, she didn't know what it was because she had never seen one. In his study, the king was writing his daughter's birthday card, but the pen fell from his fingers. Even the kitchen fire stopped burning. The whole place went to sleep. And here's the princess. Now that she's been pricked, she's on the ground. Years slowly passed. The palace was forgotten. But 100 years later, a handsome prince happened to ride by. He noticed a thorny hedge growing high in the distance. His servants laughed and told him an old story of an enchanted palace and a sleeping beauty. But what if it's true? The prince thought and rode towards the hedge. At first, he could see no way through. The hedge was far too thick and thorny for climbing. Then he drew his sword and began to hack his way in. The prince couldn't believe what he found on the far side. All around him, animals and people stood and lay as still as statues. He walked through the palace. Not even a fly buzzed on the sunlit windows. No one moved. No one answered his questions. and he came to a half-open door at the base of the tower. Inside was a staircase. The prince thought he saw something gold glinting at the top. He bounded up the steps, and a moment later was beside the princess. "Sleeping Beauty," he murmured to himself, leaning over her. He couldn't resist. He bent down and kissed her on the lips. And this is the palace with all the thorns and the chicken that was not cackling. At once, the princess opened her eyes. As she did so, the fire roared back into life down in the kitchen. In his study, the king picked up the pen he dropped and finished writing his daughter's birthday card. The hens picked from green in the dust. And in the room at the top of the tower, the princess saw the prince's face above her. For the first time in 100 years, she smiled. "Will you marry me?" The prince whispered. "Yes," the princess said, and she kissed him back. When the king heard the good news, he ordered an enormous feast. The prince and the princess were married, and they lived happily ever after. That's the end of the story. I hope to see you next time on Storytime, friends. Bye!